I'm so pleased to be back at Ascension Lutheran Church and to have this chance to thank you for all that you have done and all that you continue to do to support the ELCA malaria campaign. That's really one of the ways that this congregation, I think, demands justice. Gifts of Hope this year will focus on 3 different ministries that I'm involved in, as well as some others. And those 3 ministries will be building churches in Zambia, together with our partners, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Zambia, and also the ELCA Malaria Campaign, and also God's Global Barnyard, where we can help by purchasing animals that help people to continue in their livelihoods. And I represent, of course, the ELCA Malaria Campaign portion of your Gifts of Hope this year. In the next few minutes, I'm going to introduce to you some of the key players in the Lutheran Malaria Program in Zambia. And if you're unsure where Zambia is, we've provided a little map there for you. Essentially, these people I'm about to introduce you to are our colleagues, our sisters and brothers who are working to keep their communities and their country safe from malaria. I'm going to tell you about the people that I met and the malaria activities that I had a chance to experience when I had the privilege of traveling to northwest Zambia this past March. See, I really did. The Lutheran Malaria Program in Zambia takes place under the umbrella of the LUXA Regional Malaria Program. LUXA is an organization of Lutheran churches in southern Africa, and LUXA oversees 6 of the malaria programs that receive funding from the ELCA Malaria Campaign, including the malaria program in Zambia. There are 2 Lutheran church bodies working together in the Lutheran Malaria Program in Zambia, and these are the bishops of those 2 Lutheran churches, who are just as passionate about malaria work as we are. On the ground in Zambia, the Lutheran Malaria Program is in the capable hands of Abel Makungwa on the left, he's the program director, and Oscar on the right is a malaria staff person too, and he works to help families generate income and afford health care. Every single Lutheran pastor in Zambia, about 24 of them at this point, it's a young church, every single pastor has been trained on malaria prevention and control. So they incorporate malaria into their preaching and teaching. You can see that 3 of those pastors are Zambian, and the one in the lower right corner is Arden Strasser, our ELCA missionary that works with the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Zambia. In each community, a malaria focal person has been educated to be a trainer of trainers. They learn not only malaria prevention and control interventions, but also educational techniques so that they can hold effective workshops and educate people at all levels of age and literacy. I was impressed with the knowledge and wisdom of these leaders. They really had their fingers on the pulse of their communities, and they know how best to teach in ways that people in their communities can learn. And community leaders are also a part of the Lutheran Malaria Program. From left to right here are a ward councilman, sort of a mayor, a community elder, and a tribal headman, who are all encouraging their communities to be involved in the malaria education and prevention. And they're not necessarily Lutherans, but they are very excited about the Lutheran Malaria Program. And of course, every single person in a community is a participant in the teaching and learning that take place. Program participants are empowered to take an active role in their own health, to choose positive behaviors that keep them and their families safe from malaria. One of the events I participated in was a distribution of mosquito nets. The program takes education very seriously, and so the nets were distributed to the people who had participated in an educational program leading up to that day. First, there was a demonstration of how to hang the nets properly, and then the nets were distributed to each participating family. I just had to include this picture of a couple of the nets on their way home to their new home. One of the topics of education in the malaria program is about keeping your surroundings safe. Mosquitoes lay their eggs in standing water, so it's important to clean up puddles and bushes that attract water. The congregation of this Lutheran church in Chavuma cleared away the area around the church to make it safe. And then those congregation members went home and did the same thing with their own homes. This is a woman that I met when I was in Zambia. Her name is Suvia Samanjomba. She has been participating in the Lutheran Malaria Program for more than a year. She learned how to prevent malaria, to recognize symptoms, and to seek treatment. While she was pregnant, Suvia received preventative malaria education and treatment. And every night, Suvia slept under an insecticide-treated mosquito net. Her baby boy, Innocent, was born healthy and malaria-free, and every night, Innocent sleeps under a net with his parents. According to his mom, he's healthy and happy and very clever. I also got to attend an open clinic where people who were feeling ill got tested for malaria outside next to the church at a table underneath a tree. Those who tested positive for malaria received medication right then and there. The open clinic brought malaria care to the local level. Here's how the testing works. A trained volunteer pricks the patient's finger and draws just 1 drop of blood. The drop of blood is put into this little test kit along with some saline solution. The test kit looks similar to a pregnancy test or a glucose test that we might see here. 15 minutes later, the test is ready to be interpreted. It's fairly simple. 1 line means negative, and you can see a negative test on the top, and 2 lines means positive, which means that the person on the bottom tested positive for malaria. And each test is labeled with the patient's name for accuracy. The name of each patient and the results of their tests are recorded carefully. The volunteers use their cell phones to text in the results, which are then added to the national statistics. And everyone who tests positive for malaria goes home with medication and instructions. The new rapid diagnostic tests don't require needles, microscopes, or electricity, so they're much better than the older generation of malaria tests. They're simple enough that trained volunteers can do them very effectively. And these open clinics make malaria case management much more effective. The day that I saw the open clinic, 25 people were tested for malaria and 17 of them tested positive. The Lutheran Malaria Program in Zambia also helps families with income-producing projects in conjunction with malaria education. So households learn that one priority for their new income should be caring for their health. For example, purchasing mosquito nets and traveling to the clinic when malaria symptoms occur. This photo shows an income-producing project in Zambia, beekeeping and honey. Through the malaria program, the beekeepers learned sustainable beekeeping techniques and were connected with the honey market in the capital city, Lusaka. Another sustainable livelihoods project in Zambia is pig farming. These Lutheran pigs will help families keep food on the table in the drought season and increase their income so they can afford proper health care when malaria strikes. I want to share with you some of the ways in which communities and lives have changed for the better because of the Lutheran Malaria Program in Zambia. These are direct quotes from some of the community leaders and program participants. Now they are more than willing to get tested. Complicated cases of malaria are now rare, and it's the complicated cases of malaria that lead to death. We now have trained community workers, rapid diagnostic tests, and anti-malarial medicines. They now take the children to the clinic within 24 hours of showing symptoms. Our headman is now involved in the malaria teaching. These are just some of the ways that communities have been impacted. During our offering today, we'll be able to watch a video that comes from the Lutheran Malaria Program in Zambia, and it will show us, I think, in people's own words, the impact that the malaria program is making there. So we'll let our companions in Zambia have the final word.